Please edit that out.
I will. I will. Here. Come on. Come on up to the mic, my lady.
I don't want to.
Allison. You've now been doing this for enough episodes. You can't ever leave. I'm sorry. You are now officially... This is now officially a Will and Allie podcast. Do we need a new name?
Yes. Are you kidding me? I've been lobbying for this for months now.
I think we need a new name because that way I can save this name for like an actually like developer product, like more like.
But the title still has nothing to do with.
I don't know. Strong Opinions. Weekly Health. Like, how is that not an incredible title for like a podcast where we talk about like?
But that doesn't
opinions on software.
There's literally nothing about software in the title. There's nothing like.
It doesn't have to be.
I know, but that's not like it could be a great podcast
title
for somebody who wants to talk about books, or for people who want to talk about birds. I don't know. There's nothing in that like lets people know it's strong opinions about software. And also, what a snooze fest. That sounds terrible.
Well, this is why you're not going to be a part of it anymore then. If we change the name, then you don't have to associate yourself to the Strong Opinions Weekly Held, which is an incredible pun, by the way.
It's fine. I mean...
She's just out to hurt my feelings tonight.
I got a joke.
Oh.
It's made me chuckle.
Is that why you were being cagey before I got started? Okay. All right. I have no idea what's about to happen, so I'm sorry, y'all.
Well, all right, something I saw that it was like 5 of the silliest jokes. Shut up for a second.
Go. All right, Pop, go.
What?
Wait, there's 5.
I'm not going to do 5. I'm just going to do 1.
All right, do 1. This is a great cold open.
What did the duck say when it bought lipstick?
What did the duck say when it bought lipstick?
Put it on my bill.
That's good. That's good. I think you took over my job as the dad joker.
Having humor or
Okay. We all know that is your strong suit, but that was definitely firmly in the realm of dad jokes.
You know, I love it. Love a good pun.
You do love a good pun.
Okay.
Which is why I'm shocked you don't like the name Strong Opinions Weekly Held, which is an incredible pun. Okay. Incredible pun.
This is the Unnamed Podcast.
That can be one of the topics. We can brainstorm a name of our podcast.
All 4 of them can send in submissions.
Also great. We'll open it up to our rabid audience, which in just a second, I got an update on that. Okay. This is episode 26 of the now unnamed but to be named podcast. This is my lovely wife, Allie. I am Will. Let's do it! You'll never guess what happened this week. And by you'll never guess, I mean you will guess because I already told you about it the second that it happened.
Oh, no.
Oh, man. I should have seen this coming. It's related to the podcast and related to the statement that you just made seconds before we finished up the cold open about our 4 fans.
I wasn't listening when you said this, apparently.
I got another DM from somebody who I follow on Twitter, who I guess now follows me or has followed me, who I've been a big fan of his. He's like I don't even know if I don't know if his job title is CTO or not, but he works with a really awesome company. He's very smart, very funny. And he DM'd me out of the blue and was just like, hey, going through the backlog. And I am a huge fan.
He must be real bored if this is the entertainment.
He said, I'm a huge fan of the podcast with you. His name's Matt Swanson.
Well,
and he said that he's really enjoying it so far going through the backlog. Oh, so
thank you.
I don't know if he's talking about like the 2 or 3 episodes where I had an actual technical
That's probably
guess,
what it is.
Or if he was talking about the episode. I'll be interested to know if he meant like the start of the podcast where I was talking about like somewhat business adjacent things, or the one that's family related. But he probably had
no idea what he was listening to because it wasn't like a Strong Opinions Weekly Held about software. There was nothing in the title that gave the
Allison, you don't have to name your podcast.
You need to wink at it. You need to like.
I did. We all know developers have strong opinions.
Yeah.
And that they're punny.
Teachers have strong opinions.
Everyone has strong
Everybody
opinions.
has a strong opinion.
You're not
this
wrong.
has nothing to do. There was nothing that gave people a little wink and a nudge that you were going to be talking about.
Look,
anything to do with
Here's the thing about podcasts.
software.
Here's the thing about podcasts. Podcasts are not a discoverability platform. Which means people don't just like scroll through and are like, oh, hey, I want to find this new podcast. This is what, like, people don't like go searching for new podcasts. They listen to podcasts through like recommendation, word of mouth, or like somebody that they already like are like, hey, I like this person, or the
I
thing
know
that
how
they
recommendations
talk about,
go.
all of that. So you don't have to focus on having your podcast be like slap them in the face with the name.
Did I say slap in the face? I did not. I said a little wink and a nudge.
Okay. You don't even have to wink and nudge them. You just have to have a good name. And that is a good name.
Is fine.
Speaking of good names, we should come up with a new name then.
We've already.
So you think about that.
Okay. I'll go to the drawing board.
If we have some ideas by the end of the podcast, we can share them. If not, we will think about them for next pod
when we have time. No, you cannot multitask to think of names and do this at the same time.
The gears are already moving.
Cute that you think you could.
I'm already churning on ideas here.
Wow.
I mean, I think it should have something royal in the title since it's about us, the kings.
It's predictable. It's like that's the
a wink
easy
and a
one.
nudge. A wink and a nudge.
No,
I'm winking and I'm nudging.
Okay.
Fine. We will think of some other ones, but before I forget about this, I just have to address it, and then we can move on. A couple weeks ago, we went on a trip, as we mentioned, to the Final Four with Palmer.
Oh, yes.
And if there's one thing that the King family loves, it's a routine. We love a good routine. We've already talked about our bedtime routine. We talked about how we crush a bedtime routine. Mm-hmm. One thing we have not talked about is weekday morning routine, which we also crush.
Like a solid 7.5 out of 10. We don't crush it.
Okay. Anyway.
Okay.
I wake up eventually.
I was about to say,
Allie's up first. She's up first, and some mornings she walks.
What does this have to do with anything?
Just let me get there, Allison. Okay. We're taking everybody on a journey. Some mornings, Allie walks, comes up here, and we'll do like a walk before she gets ready. Some mornings she's wants to sleep in just a little bit longer, but still wakes up well before I do, and she starts getting ready in the morning. I usually wake up right around 6, give or take 10 to 15. And then my job is to pack Palmer's snack, to make breakfast for Palmer, and make coffee and breakfast for Allie, and to get the boys out the door and get them to...
This sounds like I do nothing.
It's not true. You spend your time getting ready in the morning, which requires a lot of effort for somebody who has to be
Whoa.
Just let me finish. Requires a lot of effort for somebody who has to be in a school setting full of a lot of parents.
All I heard is that you think it takes a lot of effort to get me presentable for the day.
What can I say? Truth hurts, baby. Just kidding. It does not take you a lot of effort. Honestly, I think you don't need to put a lot of effort.
Anywho,
as we well know. But anyway.
Land the plane.
Anyway, getting ready for a school day as a teacher requires some effort and some time. And then what also takes effort and time is getting a 5-year-old girl to finally pick out her clothing and what she wants to wear today, and get which hairstyle she wants done, and
just for her to get out of the bed.
I know she is like a slug in the morning. She moves so slow. So you also spend a lot of time. I don't have to interact with children to do all the things that I do, so I can do more of it. Yeah. Whereas you're just
in the trenches. In
the trenches with Palmer. The boys literally they just roll out of bed and I put them in the car, so zero effort. So anyway, as part of this routine, I make Allie's breakfast. And for Allie's breakfast, we get these protein bagels. They are so good.
They really are.
They're called something that
they
I
are
don't
called
remember.
Better Than Bagels.
Better Than Bagels. That's right. And they're like a protein. They're not like actual like bread flour or something, but there's some kind of like weird mix that they do.
I don't know. They're delicious.
Allie saw a targeted ad and was like, "These look good," and I was like, "Let's do it." And then we
quite
never looked back. They're incredible.
We're on a subscription.
They're on a subscription. We literally get them like monthly. They're awesome. Yeah. So that's part of the morning, and part of the preparation for said bagel is the Golden Tub. Those of you who know, the Golden Tub
was the biggest buildup to a tub of butter.
I'm not done yet. The Golden Tub is Kerrygold butter, salted, perfection. I do butter on top of the bagel and some honey and a light drizzle of honey. Perfection. Oh, it's so good. So when I get the tub, I'm the one who does it every morning.
Nobody touches Will's
Nobody
tub.
touches the Golden Tub.
Don't even think about it.
It comes like already kind of flat on top, and I do the knife like very specifically to where it literally peels off this shaves off this like wide layer of like very thin layer of butter that I just place on top when the bagel's hot, and it just melts. I don't have to spread it. I literally do nothing other than have this perfect slice of butter. When we went out of town,
you got some issues to work through.
When we went out of town, my mom came to watch the kids, the boys, because we had Palmer. I came back, and the first morning when I go to make Allie's bagel in the morning, somebody, and by somebody, obviously I mean my mother, has gone into the tub and gotten a spoon and dug out the middle.
It was wrecked.
Just the middle. Like, she didn't, like, clearly, it was a halfway used tub. Clearly, looking at it, you can think, wow, somebody has gone to a lot of care to do this a very specific way. And out of the middle of the tub, she just dug it out like it was a bowl of ice cream to scoop it out. Like, she went in there with, like, some giant spoon and was just, like, digging out the middle of this golden tub. And breakfast was ruined.
It's not ruined.
It took so much longer.
Also,
it took so long because once you do that, the edges, when you start to try to slice off of them, they come off of the wall, and now they're just banging around like a couple of pool balls. Like, bang, bang, bang. Every time I'm trying to slice it, it's bouncing everywhere. I can't get a slice off the butter. And then you get too thick of a slice, and it doesn't melt fast enough, so you have like melty butter on the bottom and hard butter on top, and it doesn't spread.
Take a breath, man.
I was mad. I was very upset about my golden tub.
It was almost like that tub of butter.
I don't like where you're going with this.
And it was kind of like,
because I feel like this is going to be a dig to me.
And so you didn't like that somebody was messing with your systems.
Like a cabinet.
And just kind of ruined
it.
It's
weak.
And just messed up your flow.
I feel like there's a weak connection to my cabinet problem.
Your flow was thrown off. I feel that. Believe me. I feel seen.
That's fine.
But I feel like you need to work through some of that. I think maybe I'll just come in and mess up the tub for some more exposure therapy.
We don't need exposure therapy for something that works. It is for your breakfast. And it would be very rude of you to ruin my process to make you breakfast.
Okay. You eat the other half of the bagel.
If you don't eat it that morning. Sometimes you didn't eat a lot the day before, so you finish both sides of the bagel. Which let me be clear. It's totally normal to eat two sides of a bagel, and Allie's just like can't finish both. So of course I'm not just going to leave half of a bagel just sitting there.
Okay. Thank you for the 5-minute rant on butter.
It's important.
You better believe.
You better believe I was upset.
Come up with your own puns.
Rude. Okay. So anyway,
I'm sorry.
That was my.
I'm very sorry. That was your strong opinion.
And clearly, it is. I have a very strong opinion about how to use the golden tub. Also, it's been like 2.5 weeks since that happened. I'm clearly still felt strongly enough to bring it up.
Sure did.
Okay. Right. There was something that you mentioned last week when we were just chitty chatting.
Man, you gotta give me some something.
I'm going to.
Okay, because I say a lot of things.
You do say a lot of things, not as much as me. But I don't remember what led to this conversation. Do you remember what led
I don't even know what we're talking about.
I'm getting there. You started talking about how a classroom has changed in, I'm not sure in what ways, how you explained it, but you started talking about how, like, now talking about building a community in a classroom is important. And there was something that we were talking about before that led to you being like, oh yeah, we have actually talked blah, 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 blah. And you, like, talked about how, like,
I don't remember
what led to it. I don't remember. Whatever led to it wasn't as good as what you were talking about. And it's just something that I feel like applies not only to the classroom, but I would love to hear you talk more about what you do in the, like, why have things changed to where you talk about building a community in the classroom? And, like, why is that important?
Something to the effect of, like, talking about how things change throughout our careers, like, I would think with software or whatever you do, there are pendulum swings, that this is better right now and people figure this out, and then I don't know, you go back to this shift. Like, pendulum swings are inevitable, I think, in life and in all aspects of it. And I think somehow we were talking about how things are set up in classrooms. I can't remember what got us there, but when I was going through school and, when you're learning how to run a classroom, you can talk about all this stuff in theory, but until you
rubber meets the road,
you actually do it, you can't know.
Right.
And basically it was just like, you think about all of the rules you want to have in your room and the procedures that you set up for how everybody's going to do things. And it's basically just like teacher driven of this is what I want you to do and this is how it's going to run and everything like that. But, there's a pendulum shift now. And one thing that I love where I work and I love the people that I'm around, because we're all very much like school community focused instead of just like outlining this is what we're going to do, why we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it. It's kind of a group conversation and setting up goals and guidelines as a group and as a community instead of just
like involving the children more in like
for example,
obviously you're guiding where things are going,
absolutely,
but you're letting them kind of maybe have more input on the methods that they use to,
for sure, like, to
get there.
I work with younger kids, so it's still heavily teacher
right.
prompted, but we read this really great book called Our Classroom is a Family, and love that book. It is a great way to kind of share with everybody that we're going to spend a lot of time together. We're going to spend a lot of time in this room. What does that look like? How are we a family? And it kind of outlines, some people have their aunts and uncles at home. Some people have grandparents. Some people have, their cousins, and it kind of lays out all the different aspects. But then it talks about how, well, we're also a family, and what does that mean for how you treat your family? And we just I start every year with the same conversation of, okay, guys, we're going to spend the next 170 something days together. We need to make sure that, we want to respect each other, and what does that look like? And, inevitably you get somebody who's like, well, I don't want somebody to hit me. I'm like, okay, that's great. Let's talk about, instead of just saying don't hit, that means we're going to be safe. We're going to be kind. And one of the best things about having like a collaborative approach to setting up your community is we kind of all make a promise to each other where we all agree on everything that comes to it, and we form a classroom promise. And
what is the classroom promise?
Oh, goodness. We promise to work hard and try our best. We will listen, learn, and be safe. We promise to think, share, and have fun. We are kind, helpful, and loving. We are a class family.
Oh, I love that. That's so great.
We put that together at the beginning of the year, and everybody signs their name to the promise. And we kind of just like everything we do, every conversation we have in the room.
It's a lot easier. It's easier to tie it to
a physical thing of like, remember, you told me that it was important that you wanted to share and you wanted people to share with you. So when you're snatching that toy or, remember, we care about our family. We care about, I
love that.
The environment we create.
I actually, so I had a quick interaction on Twitter today with somebody, and he does a lot of community work in the Twitter space, not Twitter space, like in the developer space. Like his whole company, their job is to help place people in jobs. So his main role is to interact with those people and to foster a good community. And one thing that he was mentioning was meetups are going by the wayside.
Yeah.
People are not as excited about them because a lot of meetups focus a lot on we need somebody to talk and to teach these people something, and that's what will draw people in, and that's not really working.
Yeah.
And he was just sometimes all you need is just a pizza and a hang.
Yeah.
And I commented on it and said something that we talk about a lot with our church, which is just there's every time that your church wants to get together, it doesn't necessarily have to include I think the way that I phrased it was sometimes getting together with other people should be 100% about the relationship and not about personal growth, because it's you don't have to show up somewhere and get something for yourself out of it. You don't have to learn something new. You don't have to study something.
But what's crazy is if you do get together and it's just that, you do get something for yourself out of it. And
exactly.
Need to remember less is more. I think that's a big thing. Just because once you establish a baseline of a solid foundation, a community, regardless, I will say this year is probably the third year, where I've really kind of done this classroom promise thing. And, every year things get better. You figure things out a little bit more along the way. And, after being in a classroom now for almost 10 years, it's when they really buy into it, and this group this year has really bought into it, it's such a cool thing to see because...
Do you each year you've done it, have you figured out different ways to help them engage with it more?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really visibly posted this year as other years. It was kind of,
we did at the start
and then but it was kind of to the side. But no, this is right up there of we, we're all in this together kind of deal. And it's just neat to see. It's just neat to see how building that community makes everybody feel better, and you can build relationships and you can build
100%. I think I remember now what led to this, you mentioning what you said, which was it was the week before or the week of we were going to React Miami, and I was telling you about the game that I was making, and then I was telling you about the Terminal Feud game, and you're why? What does the developer conference have anything to do with either of these things? And this is that was my response, which was just I think developers are just so tightly wound of oh, gotta people have been wow, we only go to stuff and it's so boring. It's all about learning and getting better at your job and doing all this. And I think all these people, the reason why the Terminal boys with their content and with the games that they're doing, it's been so successful so far and so talked about is because developers are just desperate for fun, desperate for some kind of community moment that they can engage with that is not just about actual development. It's hey, all of these right, it's all these topics that we know and care about from a professional sense, but it's got a different angle on it that makes it fun to engage with.
You just need to hang out with some chips and salsa.
It's community and relationships, not personal growth. And I'm sure once you get, you mentioned, the same with like if you just get a bunch of members of your church together to hang out, or if you get a bunch of members from like some community to hang out, if you're just hanging out having a good time, at some point a natural conversation is going to happen in which somebody either grows closer together or like grows personally better with like some topic that they like discuss because they feel like super comfortable to actually do it versus like some forced, well, this is the thing we're choosing for everyone to like focus and learn on. So I think that's like what kind of like led into it. But I really thought like your approach to your classroom was like super interesting because I think that like, I think once COVID happened, a lot of this stuff started like kicking off of like, oh, like we all realized how important like relationships and spending time with people about like the things that we care about and not just like learn, optimize.
Yeah.
And like, I think the way you've talked about it with your classroom is like super, super interesting to me, which is why I wanted to ask you about it on the podcast for all to hear.
Yeah, that was
mainly because like Allie needs to talk about her job more because she's incredible at it. She's so good at being a teacher. Today I bounced in to the class. It is one of my favorite things to do is like Allie was just like, hey, like, can you drop lunch by today? Like lunchroom food's kind of garbage today. Not my cup of tea. And I'm like really hungry. Can you bring us anything by? And I'll do this like every other week, every few weeks. Like it's not like a lot, but it's enough that it's fun. Or like Palmer will forget something that she needs at school. And so I just bebop on down and drop it off. And I roll in and all the kids are like, hey, Mr. King. And then there's always like the one kid who's just like, Mr. King, look at this. You know, like they're just like doing something so silly. And it's just always fun. Yeah. I couldn't handle it. Like I love the quiet of my office and the focus. And every kids do like little noises all the time that I couldn't handle. I don't know how she does it, but she's very good at it. And it is always fun. It's always fun when I go up there and she's like in the middle of like a lesson. And like I just like peek in for a second while she's like in the midst of being Mrs. King versus Allie. When she's not roasting and she's actually like supporting and growing young minds versus destroying mine. It's awesome.
Oh,
and I love it.
Stars.
It's great.
No, it's just cool.
It is cool. And you're cool.
Well, thanks. Sorry.
Oh, thanks, babe. All right. I had one more thing that I thought we would get to tonight.
Okay.
But I think it's time to wrap things up.
I
think it's time for us to go have a little bit of ice cream.
Sorry.
And it's almost like 30 minutes.
For thought question. Ooh. Just because
Food
we were talking about this community.
Name of the podcast, Food for Thought.
No, I'm sure that's somebody's.
That's too, yeah, you're too right. That's too generic.
Okay. Sorry, now I got to think about food.
It's because it's good.
You were talking about
food podcast is what it should be.
Say less. Say less.
We probably should come up with like regular segments, and food should be related to one of these. Sorry, I'm on a roll, people.
Okay, you were talking about like your line of work and your job and food developers.
Right.
Stop.
I'm listening.
Are you done? What you're doing right now is basically like the metaphorical spoon in the butter tub. Like I have got my method right now. I'm trying to get there, and you are ruining the golden tub. Okay.
Touche.
What you're talking about, like with community and developers and things like that, do you think that maybe people are like, we need a community, we need to do all of this because predominantly everybody's remote and you don't get to have the face-to-face interactions of like the not having anything to do anything with work? You just miss out on like the connections you make to build the community that y'all have all this stuff in common, but you don't get a chance to grow upon it because everybody's remote now?
I would say that definitely contributes to it.
Sorry, we don't have to dive into that.
No, we can't.
It was just like
I don't think it's. I think there's not like a lot here necessarily. I think that the answer is. Yeah, I mean, I just meant more like I can cover it pretty quickly. I think the answer is yes. That is part of it. I think more and more, especially in the developer job role, like that is like the highest percentage of work from home across a lot of industries. So like there are a lot more developers who don't have a lot of like daily interaction in like a work with other developers. So like conferences are a way to do that. I think even before that, like you may not work at somewhere cool. Like you may have interests that like, and like developers are like extremely online, even if they do work in an office. And so like through that, like you have a lot of friends on the internet and like you never get to see them. And it's not necessarily
not real.
And it's not necessarily like your coworker. Like me and I coworkers, like we have a ton of meetings, we have offsites, and it's always great to see them. But like the people that I work with are not the people that I would like if I was chosen now to be like, hey, pick 5 people that like from anywhere that you could hang out with, like 5 of the like they would not be from my work, except for Craig, if you're listening.
I'm supposed to say your boss might listen to this.
It's like I wouldn't necessarily, those would not be like top 5. Like I really like hanging out with them, and when we do our team offsites, it's always a good time. But like my top 5, top 10 are they're not in that like list. So it's like a chance for like all of us who are online and friends online to like also get a chance to meet and hang. Like I think every single time I came back at React Miami to like see you or check on you or say hey, it was like you were like, how's it going? I was like, oh great, you know, I got to see blah blah blah, and we talked, you know, like it was always like, hey, I got to talk to somebody and we hung out and it was great and it was fun, you know, that kind of thing. And so I think it's just that is mostly it. It's like we are more online and we don't necessarily get to be around in person, whether it's work from home or just the fact that like the people who were your friends with just don't work at the same place we do.
Yeah.
So it's like a chance to hang out, which Laracon in July is going to be so fun. I can't wait to go. I know you're still undecided if you are going to join me, but
I don't.
You should go. It'd be great. It'd be super fun.
Somebody's got to watch our kids.
Somebody does have to watch our kids, but we have 2 sets of grandparents.
One of them is going to claim that they're off for the summer.
Oh, boo. That's the only...
And we're not going to do this. Nope.
In case you're wondering what's happening right now, I'm being pointed away from talking about my mother-in-law.
Okay, right. We've rambled long enough. We'll yapped long enough.
Yeah. I think if we go back and compare percentages, the big yapper tonight award goes to... Allison... Bye.
Somebody do that graphic there.
Also, give us ideas for a new podcast name, and we will come up with some by next time as
Sorry
well.
about my husband.
But actually, that's incredible. I feel like we have to. That might be it. If you got better names than Sorry About My Husband.
Told you couldn't multitask and think of a name through this whole podcast. Son?
Yeah.